I watch people sabotage themselves every single day with this pattern. They set a goal. There's a truth that nobody wants to hear, but everybody needs to understand. The reason most people don't get what they want in life has nothing to do with talent, opportunity, or timing. It's far simpler and far more uncomfortable than that. It's the willingness to do what needs to be done when everything inside them is screaming to do something else. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. Something that cost me years of my life before I finally figured it out. Your feelings are a terrible, terrible boss. They'll work you right into poverty. They'll keep you small. They'll convince you that comfort today is more important than results tomorrow. And before you know it, years have passed and you're standing in the same spot, wondering what happened to all those dreams you used to have. I remember this one winter morning, must have been 30 years ago now. The alarm went off at 5:30, and let me tell you, it was cold. I mean bone cold. The kind of cold that makes your blankets feel like the most precious thing in the world. And I had a meeting scheduled, an important one, the kind that could change everything. But in that moment, lying there in that warm bed, you know what my feelings told me? They said, Jim, you're tired. You worked hard yesterday. You deserve to rest. They'll understand if you reschedule. One day won't matter. Every word of it sounded so reasonable, so logical, so right. That's the thing about feelings. They're master salespeople. They know exactly what to say to keep you right where you are. But here's what I'd learned by then, after failing enough times to finally get the lesson. I'd learned that the person I was in that warm bed and the person I wanted to become were not the same person. The person in that bed wanted comfort. The person I was trying to become wanted results. And you cannot serve two masters. You've got to pick one. So I got up, I got dressed, I went to that meeting, and you know what? That decision changed everything. Not because of what happened at the meeting, though it went well, but because of what happened inside me. I proved something to myself that morning. I proved that I could override the tyranny of my feelings and stick to what I'd committed to do. Now, let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. How many times in your life have you had a plan, a good plan, a plan that could have worked, but you abandoned it because you didn't feel like following through? How many mornings have you hit that snooze button when you promised yourself you'd get up early? How many evenings have you skipped the work you planned to do because you were tired or didn't feel inspired? How many conversations have you avoided? How many calls have you not made? How many pages have you not written? How many miles have you not run? All because your feelings convinced you that today wasn't the day. Add all that up. Add up all those surrender days, all those broken promises to yourself, and what do you have? You have the gap between where you are and where you could have been. That gap, my friend, is expensive. It might be the most expensive thing in your life. See, here's what most people don't understand. They think successful people are successful because they're always motivated, always fired up, always passionate, always ready to go. That's not true. That's a fairy tale. Successful people have the same feelings you have. They wake up tired. They feel discouraged. They have doubts. They get scared. They want to quit. The only difference that matters is that they've learned something crucial. They've learned that feelings are weather, and you don't cancel your life because of weather. You dress for it and you keep moving. Think about it this way. A pilot doesn't look out the window, see clouds, and say, well, I don't feel like flying today. Let's cancel all the flights. A doctor doesn't wake up tired and decide not to show up for surgery. A soldier doesn't get to tell his commanding officer, I'm not really feeling it today, so I'm going to sit this one out. Why? Because in those professions, there's no room for feelings to run the show. Lives depend on showing up, regardless of how you feel. And you know what? Your life depends on it too. Your dreams depend on it. Your family's future depends on it. Everything you say you want requires you to show up on the days you don't feel like it. But somewhere along the way, we've been sold this lie. We've been told to follow our feelings, to trust our gut, to wait for inspiration, to only do what feels authentic and true. And that sounds so good, doesn't it? It sounds enlightened and spiritual and evolved. But let me tell you what it really is. It's a recipe for mediocrity. It's a permission slip to stay small. Because if you only work when you feel like it, you won't work very much. If you only do the hard things when you're inspired, you won't do many hard things. And if you only stick to your plan when it's convenient, you don't really have a plan at all. You have a suggestion, you have a wish. You have something you might do if the stars align and everything feels just right. I spent years of my life operating that way. I'd get all excited about something, make big plans, tell people what I was going to do, and then wait for that feeling to come back. Wait for the inspiration, wait for the motivation. Wait to feel ready. And you know what happens when you wait for feelings? They change. They always change. That excitement you felt on Sunday when you made your plan, it's gone by Tuesday. That motivation you had after reading that book or watching that seminar, it fades. It always fades. And if you're basing your actions on your feelings, your actions will fade right along with them. Let me tell you about this young man I met years ago. Smart kid, tons of potential, big dreams. He wanted to be a writer. He'd talk about it with so much passion, so much fire. He had notebooks full of ideas, character stories. I'm going to write the great American novel, he told me. And I believed him. He had the talent for it. But you know what he didn't have? He didn't have a system for dealing with his feelings. He'd write when he felt inspired, and that would last a few days, maybe a week. He'd produce some good work, then the feeling would leave, and he'd wait for it to come back. Months would pass. Then he'd get inspired again, write for a few more days, and then wait again. 10 years later, you know what he had? A bunch of half-finished manuscripts and a regular job he hated. The dream was still there. The talent was still there. But he'd spent a decade being loyal to his feelings instead of being loyal to his plan. Now contrast that with another person I knew, a woman who decided she was going to write every single day for 1 year. Not when she felt like it, not when inspiration struck. Every single day. Some days she wrote garbage. Some days she only managed a few sentences. Some days she cried because it was so hard and she was so tired and nothing was coming out right. But she showed up. She did the work. She killed the feelings that told her to skip today, to wait for a better day, to stop this foolish pursuit. And at the end of that year, she had a finished novel. It wasn't perfect, but it was done. And more importantly, she had become someone different. She'd become a person who kept her word to herself. She'd become a person whose commitments meant something. She'd discovered that she was stronger than her feelings, and that changed everything. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. The real battle isn't out there. It's not with the economy or your circumstances or the obstacles in your way. The real battle is internal. It's between the person you are right now, governed by feelings, and the person you're trying to become, governed by decisions and commitments and plans. Every single day, that battle plays out. Every morning when that alarm goes off, there's a moment of decision. Every time you face the hard conversation, the difficult task, the uncomfortable action, there's a moment of decision. And in that moment, you're either feeding the person you want to become or you're feeding the person you're trying to leave behind. Here's what I learned to do, and this changed my life. I learned to recognize the voice of my feelings and respond to it differently. When that voice says you're too tired, I learned to say that's interesting, but I'm doing this anyway. When it says this isn't the right time, I say, there's never a right time for hard things. When it says you'll do it tomorrow, I say no. Tomorrow I'll be fighting the same battle. I'm doing it today. It sounds simple, and it is simple, but simple and easy are not the same thing. This is simple, but it's brutally hard. It requires you to develop a new relationship with yourself, where your word means something, where your commitments are sacred, where your plan is more important than your comfort. And let me tell you, once you start winning these little battles, once you start proving to yourself that you can override your feelings and stick to your plan, something amazing happens. You start to trust yourself in a way you never have before. You start to believe in yourself at a deeper level. Because belief isn't built by positive thinking or affirmations or vision boards. Belief is built by evidence. And every time you do what you said you'd do, even when you didn't feel like it, you're creating evidence. You're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who keeps their word. You're becoming someone who can be counted on, starting with being able to count on yourself. The truth is, feelings are not your enemy. They're just terrible guides. They'll take you in circles. They'll keep you comfortable. They'll protect you from growth. If you let your feelings plan your day, you'll plan for comfort. If you let your feelings set your goals, you'll set ones that don't scare you. If you let your feelings determine your actions, you'll always pick the easy path. And the easy path, my friend, leads to a hard life. The hard path, the one where you do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel, that path leads to a good life. It leads to results. It leads to respect, starting with self-respect. It leads to becoming the person you always knew you could be. Now, let's talk about something that most people avoid, like the plague. And that's having an actual plan, not a dream, not a wish, not some vague idea of what might be nice someday. I'm talking about a real, concrete, written down plan that tells you exactly what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you'll know if you're making progress. And I'll tell you right now why most people don't have one. It's because a real plan is confronting. A real plan removes every excuse you've been hiding behind. A real plan shows you the gap between who you are and who you claim you want to be, and most people cannot handle that level of honesty. I've met thousands of people over the years who told me about their big goals. They're going to start a business, they're going to write a book, they're going to lose weight, they're going to save money, they're going to learn a new skill. And when I ask them, what's your plan? You know what I get? I get generalities. I get vague statements. Well, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to give it my best shot. That's not a plan. That's a wish with good intentions attached to it. And good intentions have never built anything worth having. A plan answers specific questions. What exactly are you going to do? When exactly are you going to do it? How will you measure whether you're on track or off track? What will you do when obstacles show up? And they will show up. What will you do on the days when everything goes wrong? What's your contingency? What's your backup? See, most people don't want to answer these questions because answering them requires thinking, and thinking is work. It's easier to stay in the dream phase where everything is possible and nothing is tested. It's comfortable there, but comfort is expensive, and the price you pay is your potential. I remember working with this young entrepreneur years ago. Sharp guy, full of energy, big vision. He wanted to build a real estate empire. Every time I saw him, he'd tell me about another property he was looking at, another deal he was considering, another strategy he'd learned about. 6 months went by, a year went by. And you know what he had to show for all that energy and vision? Nothing. Not one property, not one deal closed. So I sat him down and I said, show me your plan. He looked at me confused. What do you mean? I got lots of plans. No, I said, show me the written document that outlines exactly what you're doing, step by step, day by day. He didn't have one. He had ideas, he had excitement, he had knowledge, but he didn't have a plan, and without a plan, all that other stuff was just noise. So we created one together. We mapped out exactly how many properties he needed to look at per week, how many offers he needed to make per month, how many hours he'd spend on education versus action, how much money he needed to save each month for down payments, what time he'd wake up, what tasks he'd do before noon, everything specific, measurable, written down. And you know what happened? Within 18 months, he had 4 properties. Not because he got smarter or luckier or worked harder than before. He probably worked less hard, actually. But he worked on the right things because he had a plan telling him what the right things were. That's the power of a plan. It eliminates confusion. When you wake up in the morning, you don't have to figure out what to do. You already know because you decided when you were thinking clearly, when you were strategic, when you were at your best. The plan was created by the highest version of you, and now it guides the everyday version of you. That's beautiful. That's leverage. That's how you multiply yourself. But here's what happens for most people. They make a plan on Sunday night. They're all fired up. They've got their calendar marked. They've got their goals written down. They're ready to change their life. Monday morning comes, and guess what shows up? Feelings. The plan says wake up at 5. Feelings say sleep until 7. The plan says make 10 calls. Feelings say start with email instead. The plan says skip the dessert. Feelings say you've had a hard day, you deserve a treat. And without even realizing it, they abandon the plan and follow the feelings. By Wednesday, the plan is forgotten. By next Sunday, they're making a new plan, which they'll also abandon by Wednesday. This cycle will destroy you. This cycle will keep you stuck for years, maybe your whole life. Because what you're really doing is teaching yourself that your word means nothing. You're training yourself not to trust yourself. Every time you make a plan and break it, you're depositing into a bankruptcy account. You're going broke on self-belief. And eventually you won't even bother making plans anymore because you know you won't follow through anyway. So what's the solution? The solution is to treat your plan like it's sacred, like it's a contract you've signed with the person you're becoming. When that alarm goes off at 5 and you plan to wake up at 5, you get up. Not because you feel like it, not because it's easy, but because that's what you said you'd do, and your word means something. When the plan says make those calls and you don't want to make those calls, you make them anyway. When the plan says write for an hour and you feel blocked and uninspired, you sit down and write anyway. You honor the plan above the feelings always. Now, I'm not saying the plan can never change. Life happens. Circumstances shift. New information comes in. A good plan is flexible enough to adjust to reality. But here's the key. You change the plan consciously, strategically, from a place of wisdom, not from a place of weakness. You don't change it at 5 in the morning when you're tired. You don't change it when you're scared or discouraged or tempted. You change it during your planning time when you can think clearly and make decisions based on what's best for your goals, not what's easiest for your feelings. The plan is your anchor. When the storms come, and they will come, the plan keeps you from drifting. When doubt shows up, the plan reminds you of what you committed to when you were certain. When you feel lost, the plan shows you the next step. Without it, you're just reacting to life, bouncing from one feeling to the next, one distraction to another, one excuse to the next excuse. With it, you're building something, you're creating, you're becoming. So you've got your plan, it's written down, it's specific, it's realistic, but challenging. Now comes the part where everything falls apart for most people. Now comes the daily grind of actually doing it. And let me tell you, this is where champions are separated from dreamers. This is where character is built or broken. This is where you find out who you really are versus who you thought you were. Because executing day after day after day, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what happened yesterday, regardless of whether anyone is watching or cheering or caring at all, that's the test. That's the only test that matters. Think about the salesperson who wakes up on a Tuesday morning after getting rejected all day Monday. The plan says make 30 calls before lunch. But every cell in their body is saying, not today. You're burned out. You need to recover. Maybe do some paperwork instead. Maybe research. Maybe training. Anything but more rejection. What do they do? The amateur listens to those feelings. They find something else to do. Something that feels productive but doesn't actually move the needle. The professional, they pick up the phone. They make the first call, then the second, then the third. Not because they feel confident, not because they expect it to be easy, but because that's what the plan says. And the plan doesn't negotiate or think about the writer staring at a blank page. The plan says, write 1,000 words, but nothing is coming. The ideas aren't flowing. Every sentence feels forced and awkward. The voice in their head says, you're not inspired today. Real writers write when inspiration strikes. Come back when you feel it. What separates someone who finishes a book from someone who just talks about writing one? The finisher writes anyway. They write terrible first drafts. They write sentences they'll delete tomorrow. They write through the resistance, through the doubt, through the complete absence of inspiration. Because they understand something crucial. Inspiration is the reward for showing up, not the requirement for starting. I watch people sabotage themselves every single day with this pattern. They set a goal, they make a plan, they start strong. Then life does what life always does. It pushes back. They have a bad day. They get sick. They have a family emergency. They face unexpected obstacles. And they use these things as evidence that the plan isn't working, that the timing isn't right, that maybe this isn't meant to be. So they stop, they pause, they wait for conditions to improve. And conditions never improve because conditions are always challenging. That's the nature of conditions. They're neutral. They don't care about your goals. They don't arrange themselves for your convenience. What I learned, and this took me years to figure out, is that you've got to create systems that remove willpower from the equation. Willpower is limited. It runs out. If you're relying on willpower to execute your plan every single day, you're going to fail. Instead, you need rituals. You need habits. You need automatic behaviors that happen regardless of your internal state. Let me give you an example. I decided a long time ago that the first 2 hours of my day were non-negotiable. That time was for my most important work, period. Not after I checked email. Not after I felt ready. First thing, before the world woke up and started making demands. Before my energy got depleted by other people's agendas. Before my feelings had a chance to talk me out of it. So here's what that looked like practically. The alarm went off at the same time every day, not some days, every day. I didn't ask myself if I felt like getting up. I didn't negotiate with myself. The alarm meant get up, and I got up. Then I had a simple routine, same every morning. Make coffee, review the plan for the day, start work immediately on the number one priority. No warm-up, no easing into it, no checking what happened overnight, just straight into the deep work. And you know what happened? After a few weeks of this, it stopped being hard. My brain learned that this is what we do. The feelings didn't go away completely, but they got quieter. The resistance was still there, but it was weaker. The system was carrying me forward. That's what most people miss. They think they need to feel motivated every day. They think successful people have some special gene that makes discipline easy. That's not true. What successful people have is systems that make discipline inevitable. They've designed their environment and their routine so that the default action is the right action. They've removed as many decision points as possible because every decision is an opportunity for feelings to hijack the process. Think about it this way. If you have to decide every morning whether to work out, you'll find reasons not to about half the time. But if your workout clothes are laid out, your gym bag is packed, your appointment is scheduled, and you've told your workout partner you'll be there, suddenly it's much harder to skip. You've created friction around the wrong choice and made the right choice, the path of least resistance. That's not about motivation, that's about engineering. That's about being smarter than your feelings. And let's talk about the lies your feelings tell you when you're in the middle of executing your plan. This isn't working fast enough. That's a feeling, not a fact. Progress is often invisible until it isn't. You're falling behind. Compared to what? Compared to the imaginary timeline where everything goes perfectly. That timeline doesn't exist. Maybe you're not cut out for this. Based on what evidence? Based on the fact that it's hard. Everything worthwhile is hard. You can take today off. You've been working so hard. You deserve a break. This is the most dangerous lie of all because it sounds so reasonable. And maybe you do deserve a break. But this isn't about what you deserve. This is about what you committed to. This is about what kind of person you're becoming. I'll tell you what I started doing that changed everything. Every morning before I looked at my plan, I'd ask myself one question. What would the person I'm trying to become do today? Not what do I feel like doing? Not what would be easy or comfortable or convenient? What would that future version of me, the one who's already achieved what I'm working toward, what would that person do? And then I'd do that thing, even if I didn't feel like it. Especially if I didn't feel like it. Because the gap between who I was and who I wanted to become could only be closed by doing things that the current me didn't want to do, but the future me would do automatically. This is the daily battle. This is where you earn your future. Not in the big moments, not when you're excited and motivated and everything is going well, but on Tuesday morning when you're tired, on Thursday afternoon when you're discouraged, on Saturday when everyone else is relaxing and you're still working. Those moments, those decisions, those tiny acts of honoring your plan over your feelings, that's where transformation happens. That's where you become someone different, someone stronger, someone who can be counted on, someone who finishes what they start. Now, let me tell you what happens when you actually stick to this thing. When you kill the feelings day after day and honor your plan week after week, month after month, something remarkable starts to occur, and it's not what most people expect. See, most people think the reward is the goal itself. They think it's about getting the money, achieving the body, building the business, writing the book. And sure, those things are nice, but that's not the real prize. The real prize is who you become in the process. I've watched this transformation happen in people over the years, and it's always the same pattern. In the beginning, they're white knuckling it. They're fighting themselves every single day. The plan says do this, feelings say do that, and it's a war. But they keep showing up. They keep doing the work. And somewhere around the 90-day mark, something shifts. The resistance is still there, but it's not as loud. The feelings still try to derail them, but they don't have the same power. What's happening is they're rewiring themselves. They're building new neural pathways. They're creating a new identity. Because here's what nobody tells you about discipline and consistency. It's not just about getting results. It's about becoming the kind of person who gets results. There's a massive difference. You can get lucky and stumble into a win. You can ride a wave and end up somewhere good. But that doesn't change who you are at the core. But when you do the work day after day, when you prove to yourself repeatedly that your word is law, when you demonstrate that you're the kind of person who finishes what they start regardless of circumstances, that changes everything. That becomes your identity. And once it's your identity, you don't need motivation anymore. You don't need someone to pump you up. You don't need to wait for the feeling. You just do what needs to be done because that's who you are now. I think about compound interest a lot. Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. And most people think about compound interest in terms of money. You invest a little bit regularly, and over time, it grows into something substantial. But compound interest applies to everything. It applies to your actions. It applies to your character. Every time you honor your plan over your feelings, you're making a deposit. Every time you do what you said you'd do when you didn't feel like it, that's a deposit. And just like with money, you don't see much happening at first. The first few months you're working hard and it feels like nothing is changing. But you keep making deposits. You keep showing up. You keep executing the plan. Then one day you look up and you barely recognize yourself. You've got momentum now. You've got evidence. You've got proof that you can do hard things. And that proof becomes fuel. It becomes confidence, real confidence. Not the fake kind that comes from affirmations, but the earned kind that comes from doing things you didn't think you could do. That kind of confidence is unshakable. Nobody can take it from you because you built it yourself, one decision at a time, one day at a time, one kept promise at a time. And here's the beautiful part. Once you've done this in one area of your life, you realize you can do it anywhere. The person who learns to stick to a fitness plan, regardless of feelings, can apply that same principle to their business. The person who builds a daily writing habit through sheer consistency can use that same approach to build wealth or relationships or anything else they want. The skill transfers. The character transfers. You're not just achieving a goal. You're becoming a different caliber of human being. Think about what this means for your children if you have them. Think about what this means for the people watching your life. When they see you stick to your plan through difficulty, through setbacks, through the times when you have every excuse to quit, what are you teaching them? You're teaching them that commitments matter. You're teaching them that feelings are not facts. You're teaching them that character is built in private, in those moments when nobody is watching, when you either keep your word to yourself or you don't. That's a legacy. That's worth more than any amount of money you could leave them. But it starts with a decision. It starts with you deciding right now, today, that you're done being ruled by feelings, that you're done making plans you don't follow, that you're done with the cycle of excitement and disappointment, of starting strong and fading fast. It starts with you choosing to become someone different, someone who means what they say, someone whose word is solid, someone who can be counted on, especially by themselves. So let me ask you this. What's the one thing you've been saying you're going to do but haven't done because you haven't felt like it? What's the plan you've been avoiding because you know it will require you to show up even on the hard days? What's the commitment you need to make to yourself that will change everything if you actually honor it? Whatever that is, that's your starting point. That's where you begin the journey from being feelings driven to being plan driven, from being reactive to being intentional, from being ordinary to being exceptional. Make the plan, write it down, make it specific and clear. Then tomorrow morning, when the feelings show up and try to negotiate, when they give you all the reasons why today isn't the day, when they make their case for comfort over commitment, you look at that plan and you do what it says anyway. You kill those feelings and you stick to that plan. You do it tomorrow, you do it the day after, you do it until it stops being a battle and starts being who you are. That's how you change your life. That's how you become someone different. That's how you close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. One decision at a time, one day at a time, one kept promise at a time. Most people go through life distracted. They move from one thing to another, chasing everything and catching nothing. They wake up with good intentions, but by the time the day is over, they have wasted hours on things that do not matter. And the worst part, they do not even realize it.
A very good morning, 5 a.m. family. Good morning. Good morning, TikTok. Good morning on YouTube. Good morning on Zoom. Good morning, fam, and happy 2026. I cannot believe that we are back, as tired as we are. Oh my goodness. But we thank God for His grace upon our lives. We thank God for His faithfulness. We thank each and everyone who has been with us through and through, praying for us. Yeah, thank you. We are back and we are ready to change our lives. We are ready to change other people's lives. Remember, fam, our business is a business of impact. So when we come here, we don't come because we have bills to pay, even though it's nice to pay our bills with ease. But the big, big, big purpose of being in this business is to change lives. I am Coach Sbusi. I am super excited to be journeying with you. I am super excited to be walking this journey with you, even in the year 2026. I know, it's like, oh, going back to the same things. Yes, what I really appreciate about our kind of business is that our business is a business of impact. Our business is a business of getting better, you know. And I was here just thinking about it that I just didn't feel like waking up today. I have so many reasons why, I could have just said, let us do it tomorrow or next week, Thursday. But I realized that if I don't train myself, if I don't do it for myself before I even do it for the next person, then the whole thing is doomed. If you're a leader in network marketing, it is easy for you to start managing your team. It is easy for you to want to do things for your team and not realize that you need to be the one who's transformed first. When you say, I can't do this because my team doesn't show up, I want to do this, but my team doesn't, come for these meetings or whatnot. Excuse me, essentially what you're saying there is you are doing it for them. Yes, the reality is you are building the muscle for yourself. Think of this as the gym, and think about a personal trainer. Do you think a personal trainer waits for you as the client who wants to lose weight, to say, hey, I'm coming tomorrow, for them to wake up and wear their gym gear and come. Obviously not. They don't wait for you because they also have worked with people long enough to know that the same person who's saying they want to lose weight is the same person who may say, today I'm just too tired to come, coach. Let us do it tomorrow. They've worked with people long enough to know that the reason for starting something is not enough to keep them going. What keeps them going now is the person that they become. So we really, really got great nuggets from today's morning talk from Jim Ron. And he is saying the feeling the feeling must the plan must outweigh the feeling, which means whatever that you want to achieve, you need to realize that you're not always going to feel like, right? Just because you joined a business and we are selling products, you will not always feel like selling. Just because you joined a business and you feel like you know that you need to train a team, you will not always feel like training a team, right? So once we realize that in this business it's all about defeating your willpower and sticking to the plan no matter what. He said really amazing things. He said, teach yourself that your feelings mean nothing. You need to stick to your word. You said you will do it. You said you'll do presentations every Saturday. Yet today, on a Tuesday, you do not have any presentation planned for the coming Saturday. Already your feelings are dominating. It's no longer about what you planned to do. And he goes on to say, we find ourselves planning every year end or every beginning of the year. We plan every week when it starts. We plan every Sunday. But, how come we don't achieve? Because we go with our feelings. We go with what is happening around us. If something happens that is going to derail you, you already know that you are going to do that, right? I was talking to someone and I was saying, I already know that whoever gets married, whoever dies, whoever has a baby is not going to affect my Saturdays in 2026. And it's a very hard one, and you become really unpopular for choosing yourself and choosing your plans. But please believe me, it starts with you making a decision and saying, I am the kind of person who shows up for what I want. Right. You decide, just like you create that identity for yourself, that when are you are the kind of person who attends everything in your community. You become that person, and it becomes non-negotiable that we know Smusi will come because she attends everything, right? So likewise, even in your business, you need to be the person who is not negotiating when it comes to what you will or will not do. If I am your leader, I need to know that no matter what, Smangele is going to show up. I don't care what happens. Smangele is the kind of person that shows up. And what is that, fam? That is identity. So in 2026, it's okay to have goals. It's okay to write them down. It's okay to have a vision board. Granted, and I was just thinking about it the other day that every year people make it trendy to have a vision board, and that's not a bad thing. Yes, write the vision down. At its appointed time, it shall tarry. Da, 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 all the things that we say. And they're cool, right? We really want to have a vision board. I have my vision board right next to me, right? But does a vision board help you achieve your dreams? Like, just having a vision board, is that enough for you to achieve what you want to achieve? That answer, ladies and gentlemen, is no. A vision board does not help you achieve. A vision board is an inspiration. A vision board serves as a visual reminder of what you want to achieve. But the actual work that it takes, to bring that house that is there, on my vision board to fruition, to real life, is now the sticking to the plan. So if the plan is not in motion, no matter how many vision boards you have, how many vision board sessions you attend, you just have that inspiration, that feeling of achieving, but the actual work is not done. Right? It's like if you have, I want to lose weight, I want to be fit, I want to eat healthy on your vision board. If you do not wake up and you have a plan on how to work around that, then the picture that you see of someone who's healthy and lifting weights and eating right does not automatically translate to what you're going to be. So if the only thing you are going to do in 2026 is to have a vision board, my friend, you have not started. A vision board is good. A vision board is where we start, but it is not going to execute things for you. So Jim Rohn here is saying the feelings, we need to be careful that the feeling is not bigger than the plan. Right, I'll give you an example of something that most of us struggle with, right? The plan is to, or rather the goal, yeah, let's start with the goal. The goal is to, I want to recruit 10 people in January. I want to enroll 10 people and bring them into the business opportunity, right? So that's a plan. I mean, that's a goal. Great, right? That's a goal. And then what is the plan? The plan is to talk to 30 people every day before lunch by making phone calls. Now that's the strategy, the execution, the game plan, how to go about working towards the goal, right? So I need to talk to 30 people before lunch, making calls or connecting via social media, whatever, right? Okay. And now, how do I feel like when I wake up? Do I feel like talking to 30 people? The answer is I don't, right? And there's external factors, fam. For example, today is my husband's birthday. I could easily say, it's my husband's birthday, right? Let us see tomorrow. I don't think it's fair for me to work today. Already now, that's what? That's my willpower. That's my feeling. How do I feel? I already feel like, let me sleep in, right? I already feel like, let me check what's trending on Facebook and TikTok. As I succumb to my feeling, as I succumb to, what I would rather do versus what I have to do, automatically the goal becomes insignificant. The goal becomes insignificant because most people realize on the last day of the month when they have enrolled no one into their business that I failed to recruit 10 people this month. And when you ask what happened, this person will say nothing about some days I wouldn't feel like talking to people. And this person will say, "Bamfu disappointana man. Uyathi bamfu bayathembisa, nasekufuneka badale abasaba." But if you knew that the business that we are doing is a numbers business, is a numbers game, you would not put your entire trust and your entire hope into one person signing up. I don't know if we're moving together. So the reason you are not taking accountability for the lack of results, it's because you were acting on feelings more than acting on the plan. So the plan helps us to get to the goal, but willpower says, instead of doing this, do this, right? And the funny thing is that we all have willpower. We all have willpower. You can choose to, and it's not even bad things. I want you to know that it's not always bad things that we do, like sleeping in, watching Netflix when we should be working. Sometimes it's not a bad thing. Sometimes it's just instead of sitting in my office and hardcore doing activities at 5 a.m., I decide to start cleaning my room because I want my room to be clean, right? I really want a clean room. But the truth is, a clean room does not translate to the goal of recruiting 10 people. It's good that you'll have a clean room. It's good that you'll feel, wow, my room is clean. But your room being cleaned during the time when you should be talking to people means, you know, um, you being a clean person is the identity that is more dominant, is what is more important to you than you enrolling 10 people. And now it brings us back to the question, which of the things that take priority in your day are actually money-making activities? Which of the things that you tend to do a lot that take the most of your time are actually helping you to make money in your business? You can say it MMAs, you can say it CC generating activities, but which of these things are actually contributing to you making more money in your business? Right. Because if cleaning your room makes you happy, but the biggest need that you have is income, then you realize that now it's just priorities, like you are not sure which one is a priority. Right. So a lot of us know what we want in 2026, but we haven't set our priorities to be clear. We haven't decided on the kind of person or people we want to be for us to get those results. So you need to have non-negotiables. You need to have non-negotiables. So why do you need a non-negotiable? You need to, like you just want to be the kind of person where they say, I know for a fact when I log onto my TikTok in the morning, I will find Sbusi talking about the importance of goal setting. I will find Sbusi talking about the importance of, improving yourself. I know. I don't think I would find her playing or chilling or gossiping. I know that she is the kind of person that would commit their morning to personal development, for example. So until you work on that identity, the goal will always be hard to achieve. Right. So there's so many identities, right? There's so many identities. Examples of identities, a quitter. There's someone whose identity is a quitter. We already know when they start the business that they will quit. They've done it long enough. It's their nature, like they don't have to, it's just their nature that whatever they start, they never finish. That's an identity, right? And Huron said something about uh, treat your plan like the contract you've signed with future you. Yes. James Clear in the book Atomic Habits, he says every time you he says your habits actually they cast a vote towards the person that you're becoming. So it's the same thing. You have signed a contract with future you. When you sleep in, when you're supposed to be working, that's a contract that you've signed with future you, or that's a vote that you're casting towards future you. When you're scrolling instead of making calls, that's a vote that you've casted towards future you. I've seen people in our team groups, every time there's a link that is shared, there's a meeting at this time, there's a meeting at this time, there's a meeting at this time. You already know that there's going to be one or two people who are going to say, is there going to be a replay? If you have already replay, my leader, please share the link. They are always looking for the alternative. If you say, let us have an in-person meeting during the weekend, bring your prospects. they're always saying, when will be the next one? Please tell us when are you going to be having the next one? Like they avoid acting immediately. And that's an identity. And what is that identity? Is a procrastinator. This person taught themselves that they will always look for a future time to do something. Right? So when we say read every day, even though they may have that 5-10 minutes to just read 2-3 pages, they think, maybe I'll find time to read more, in the evening. They're always looking for a future time to do something. So if you are here, you're sitting and you're thinking, why are my things not happening? Year in, year out, I am setting goals. Year in, year out, I have a vision board. I always have resolutions. But come December, other people have achieved 10 things, and I am there depressed, thinking I've achieved nothing. What happened? Your identity happened. You are a procrastinator versus an executor. You are someone who lacks agency. So when you have to do something, it takes you long to even, get yourself to doing it. It takes you very long to even get yourself to doing it. Right? For you to do it, I don't know what must happen. Someone must threaten you. Someone must, do you understand? It takes long for you to get to a point where you've convinced yourself that you will do something. So let us work on the following as we start in 2026. The goals must be written down. And if you haven't started writing your goals and it feels overwhelming, just write 3 goals. They don't have to be a lot. I know, like when we start to talk about goal setting, we say, look at your life holistically and think, what do I want to achieve in my health? What do I want to achieve in my relationships? What do I want to achieve in my finances? What do I want to achieve in my career? What do I want to achieve at family level? What do I want to achieve, personal development, whatever it is. It's good, it's fair and fine. But for a beginner, sometimes looking at all those areas, it gets really overwhelming. I don't want to lie. And I've worked on myself long enough to know that not everything can be fit in a 12-month period. Sometimes with the season that you're in life requires you to start with your personal development. It requires you to just start with working on yourself, where you are building the muscle, where you are building yourself for the kind of life that you want, right? Sometimes, because there's a principle called the compound effect, where each and every day, whatever that we're doing, it compounds. We just don't realize it. When you make that video, when you read that book, when you listen to that podcast, when you show up, when your feelings tell you otherwise, you are actually compounding. And the best thing that can ever happen to you, if you are building a business or you are in network marketing or you just want, success in life, the best thing that can ever happen to you is you building that muscle. I've seen people not prioritize personal development and prioritize goals. I've seen people achieve, actually, and there's nothing wrong. I've really seen people achieve. And when you look at these people, you realize that they've just been chasing, the goal. They've just been chasing the achievement. If they were chasing a rank, they were chasing a rank. If they were chasing an incentive, they were chasing an incentive. They were chasing a goal. Some even have to do extreme things like taking shortcuts in the system because they want a rank, they want to achieve, they want to build a house, they want to get married, they want to, and those things will happen, right? Those things will happen. You will achieve those things that you want to achieve. You want to get married, you will get married. You want a baby, you will have a baby. You want to build a house, you will build a house. But you versus the person who allowed the process, who allowed, the goal to not be the main thing that they're chasing. but to work on who they are becoming. If you start with who you are becoming, then automatically the things that you want, they come. And when they come, you are ready for them. I'll give you two examples. There's someone that comes here every day, reads books on money, tries to learn how to sell, tries to learn how to, be visible on social media, even though that is totally out of their comfort zone. They try to learn public speaking, they approach strangers, they do the hard things that nobody wants to do. They don't make the money that they want to make in their first year, second year, third year, fourth year. But in the fifth year, they make their first million. And then there is person B. Person B just plays the lotto and they wake up, they have the million within 30 minutes of playing the lotto. Now think about person A and person B. Who is going to have sustainable success? Who is going to have long-term success? Is it the person who won the lotto and instantly got a million? Or it's the person who has worked for years trying to get there, failing, trying again, getting rejected, getting humiliated, feeling like a failure, feeling like an imposter, feeling like even this, like if you are doing the right thing, sometimes you will feel like this is not it. Yo, maybe I should try another business because this one that I'm doing is hard. Maybe I should find another strategy because this thing of talking to people is hard. Maybe I should just find another coach because the coach that I have is very strict, right? If you feel like that, it means you are on the right path. You are just not ready for it. You are just not, equipped for the success that you're looking for. You may have to work harder. You may have to do more showing up. You may have to build the muscle. Right. And, you find people changing the goal. All of a sudden, this person's like, maybe becoming a diamond is not something that is for me, right? Maybe becoming a manager in 2026 is not for me. Maybe let me try an easier goal. If you find yourself wanting to do easier things, it's because you have the muscle for easy things. If you find yourself wanting to do things because kulula kudenda, you have the muscle for easy things. I talk to people all the time and they say, I can't sell, I can't sell, I can't sell. And then you say, what if I could teach you how to sell? And then you see this person looking at you like, I thought we were born with it. I really thought we were born with it. If you're wondering what I'm drinking, it's my aloe drink. This person thinks, I thought you are born with the skill. I can't talk to people. I thought you are born with it. Of course, there's others, there's people that have strengths. We're not going to dispute that. It's the reality of life, the strengths. People that are just naturally good with people, people that are, naturally fun to be with, fun to work with, but it doesn't mean you can't learn. It does not mean you cannot learn. You can very much learn. You can very much do what you want to do. The difference is the willpower. Are you willing to learn? So now going back to the example, person A really stumbled into success. They woke up one day and they were successful. They woke up one day and they were a millionaire and they just didn't know, how hard it is to work towards that. And then person B, yena, has been doing the hard things, being ridiculed most of the time. You know how we talk to people about opportunities, growing yourself, growing your income, and they'll ask you one question. So when are you rich now? What would you say? Please tell me in the comments. What do you say to someone whenever you tell them about an opportunity to change their life and they say, so when I saw reaching here, so when have you achieved that life that you are telling us about? You can't be saying, hey, my mentor this, my mentor that. When have you achieved? When have you bought that luxury car? And for someone that doesn't understand how success works, that becomes intimidating. For someone that doesn't understand how success works, that will intimidate them. It will make them think, Vele, why am I here talking about an opportunity that can change people's lives when me, I do not have that transformation? Let me tell you this. There is something that I read that changed my life. I think it's in the book Atomic Habits. And it's something that says, it does not matter. It does not matter when you will achieve your goals, whatever, well, it does. But in this context, we were talking about the concept of building an identity and just being on the right path. So it doesn't matter really. I know sometimes you just feel like, yo, the car has been sitting on that vision board for 10 years. And when am I going to achieve? Listen to me so that you don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure. If you are in motion, if the trajectory that you are on tells you that you are going there, believe me, you are going there. If right now I leave my house, I you know, I leave my house, I put on my GPS, and it tells me that the road to Nhlangano is this one. It will take you 60 kilometers to get to Nhlangano. When I'm somewhere there by Sifogovo and I'm thinking, yo, when will I get to Nhlangano? Will I even get to Nhlangano? Because it really looks like I'm not getting to Nhlangano. How come there's no sign of Nhlangano anyway? Right? I can see Sfogovo, I can see, but I cannot see Nhlangano. What matters now is you just looking at your GPS. If your GPS tells you you are on the way to Nhlangano, you are on the way there. You may not be there yet. There is no sign of Nhlangano anyway, but you are the trajectory that you've taken, the direction that you've taken says you will be there in 40 minutes. What then do? You sit and appreciate the fact that you are headed there. You do not then think, maybe I should have taken the road to Mbabane, because what do you mean I am still not there? You sit in the reality and comfort yourself with the fact that the GPS is saying you are on the way to Nhlangano. Right? Same applies to your goals. I was watching something yesterday and someone said, maybe you need to just think about your value system, what you value. Because if we keep talking about goals, people get intimidated. Let us talk about what you value before we even get to goal setting. Maybe you value family. That is what you value. Maybe you value personal growth. Maybe you value quality time with loved ones, right? Maybe you value empowering others, right? That is your value system. You value family time, you value personal growth, you value owning your time, you value empowering others, right? Maybe you value your health. Maybe you value your health, right? And now, the goals that you're going to set in life will always change, right? They will always change depending on your season. Okay, when I was actually having this conversation with my husband yesterday. Our sons are with their grannies, and we were saying it looks like we really have a good life outside those kids. You know, in that moment, something occurred to us that, wow, about 5 years ago, when I was starting out in this kind of business, we didn't really have kids in the house. And how I showed up and, what I was able to do was totally different. And when I got pregnant and I had a son, and we had our son come stay with us, a lot changed, right? So the goal may sometimes change based on where you are in life, but the value system stays intact. What you value. Sometimes our values come from where we come from, our families. You find that we value family, we value faith, those are things that we even take from our families, right? So before you even sit down and say, my goals, think about your value system. Wena empilweni, what comes first for you? Uthanzani. What do you think makes you happy, makes your life easier? What are the things that really, really anchor you, right? Once you realize that what anchors me, or what makes me happy, or what drives me is my family, anything for my family, you then come and say, okay, within my family, what do I want? Right? Within my family, what do I want? I want better education for my kids. I want us to travel with my family. I want us to live a comfortable life in a nice neighborhood. Safety for my family matters. I don't want to stay in a neighborhood where we feel unsafe, where, people say all sorts of things and your kids end up taking bad habits. Those are some of the things that you value, right? But your family being the at the core of why you do what you do, right? And then you think about your current life and you say, currently, my kids are actually going to public schools, and we didn't choose the schools. We went for the schools that were just available because we didn't have the means, right? In terms of traveling, the only time we travel, Siaga Gogo, end of the year, really. And even when we go there, we are struggling, like there's no resources. We are trying to get there, and we can't even bring groceries or nice things, or because agnamali, right? And in terms of comfort, we are not living in a comfortable home. We are just, we are grateful that we have a roof over our heads, but it's not our dream home, right? So now that is going to now help you set goals. Okay. And then you say better education, travel, comfortable lifestyle. Okay. Within the context of family. And then you say goals are timed, right? So you then sit and say, in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term, what does this mean? In the short term, it could probably just mean we don't struggle for basics like electricity and water. I should be able to pay for water with ease, to pay for electricity with ease, to have internet in the house. In the short term, I can actually work towards that, right? So in the short term, we just need to make sure that groceries, electricity, packed lunch for the kids as they go to school, water, all these things, they bring security in our lives, but they can be achieved in the short term. I can achieve, right? School trips for the kids. When at school they say, we are going to a trip in Devon, I'll be able to take care of it through the business, right? In the medium term, that is between 3 to 5. Is it medium term is what? Yeah, maybe between 2 to 5, or 3 to 5 years, right? Or 3 to 7 years. Sometimes long, medium term lasts that long. Let's just say 3 to 7 years. In the medium term, I should be able to take my kids to the schools that I want to take them, right? I should be able to afford medical aid. Okay, medical aid can even go to the short term. But in the short term, in the medium term, we should be able to take maybe one international trip a year. In the medium term, we should be able to maybe maybe have land, you know, have land where we can start building or start building, right? In the long term, I should be able to pay for university fees. In the long term, we should be able to own, multiple properties. In the long term, we should be able to, you know, maybe even take an international trip every time our kids close for school holidays, right? That is what? Now that is you envisioning the life that you want to create. Okay. So we started with what is your value system, and then now we come to what how is that going to translate in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term. All right. And then now you are setting your goals for 2026. Putting I want me and my family to travel to Dubai for Christmas. As someone that is starting your business, you just started in 2025, you started in 2026, shows that you are not aware that that is a good goal, but that cannot be achieved in the short term. And you may find someone else, because now the danger with these thing of vision boards and just being inspired by people on social media is that you find someone yena losasebenze for years, yena losayendi business yakhe for so many years. Nakathi yena mine my 2026 goal is to take my children to an international trip every time they close for school holidays. It is practical, it is feasible, and it is realistic. For you, as someone who's starting out, who just needs to start saving, who just needs to start clearing debt, who just needs to just, be able to just give yourself a comfortable life at home, that is not your goal. You are setting goals based on someone else's value system and someone else's reality. So in 2026, we need to set our goals. I just gave you a crash course on goal setting. So you do that for every area of your life, right? You make sure that your goals are written and you think them through, and they are your goals. Yay, they need to be your goals, not someone else's goals, right? Number two, in 2026, you need to have an identity. We've talked about this extensively. So the goal is not going to achieve itself. The identity is going to help you achieve the goal. So you build your habits. You work on your habits. You work on your habits. Right. I'll give you an example. If you are in our kind of business, you need to make personal development your new hobby. Like, you cannot be successful in our business if you do not believe in growing yourself first. You grow yourself to grow your income, which means every training that the company offers, you need to be there. And I know it's practical, it's not possible for you to attend everything real time. But if you tell yourself that I am going to always put myself in spaces where I am able to learn, then you are going to make it a point to attend. You are going to make it a point to attend, right? Even when you're unable to attend, you will watch a replay, you are going to catch up, but you just need to know that it's a non-negotiable for you to learn, right? So work on your habits, work on your identity, work on who you become before you even get to, and you take small steps. It doesn't have to be big steps, just take small steps that get you there. Work on your identity, work on your environment. I would recommend a book, Atomic Habits, for someone that wants to work on their habits and their identity. Right. In 2026, work on your money mindset. My goodness. Work on your money mindset. You will not have money until you fix your money mindset. I don't care how hard you work, you need to work on your money mindset. It's a good book that I would recommend for this. It's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. This book is going to help you see the limiting beliefs that you've been having that have stunted your ability or your potential to make money, right? So you are going to have to work on your money mindset in 2026. And then an environment for success. I know that could come in when we talk about habits and all those things, but the environment, you need to be clear about the environment from the beginning. Like, who is around me in 2026? Please don't do this in December and expect something different. If by January 2026, you are not priming your environment, you are not removing yourself from people that are stunting you, believe me, whatever goals you have, whatever plans you have, working on your money mindset, you still want to achieve. So limit the people that stunt you and bring more people that encourage you. So you need a coach. You need a coach. You need a financial expert, someone that is going to guide you on how to use money. You need someone who's going to help you spiritually. You need an accountability partner, someone that is going to remind you that you said, right? You need I've forgotten the other one, accountability partner, a mentor, okay, similar to coach, right? Okay, let me just find because I think I may have forgotten who's in your five. Right. Okay. The right people in your network. Yes. You need a coach, you need a mentor, you need an accountability partner. So, and when it comes to the principle of relationships, you need to invest before you withdraw. So you must find a way to to create reciprocity in those relationships. What do I mean? I always hear people saying, where should I find my coach? Where will I find a mentor? Okay, in our kind of business, it is easy. It is easy because the person that signs you up is actually going to be your coach or your mentor, right? Uh, however, you still need to work to build other relationships, right? So most relationships, if you pay to be in those spaces, then you're automatically there. Like if you buy someone's book, if you sign for their program, mentorship program, if you like most of the experts that I know have things that they are offering. So if you get one of their offers, then you automatically are within their spaces. Because also this thing of just saying, please mentor me, why are you telling people to mentor you? Like, what must they do? They must stop what they're doing, their busy lives, their families, and come and mentor you because when you need a mentor, that's not the way to go. So even in our kind of business network marketing, this is why people always feel disrespected when you are going to join with someone else and then you come to them and say, please mentor me. Like every relationship needs to have that give and take. Like if I give you, what am I going to take? Like, so now just because you need a mentor doesn't mean that everybody that owes you mentorship, right? All right. So I'll just have to verify this, but You need a coach and a mentor. You need someone that is going to just bring light with regards to finances. You need someone spiritual, could be a pastor, it could be whoever that is going to guide you spiritually. You need an accountability partner, right? So all these are people, and you need someone for your emotions. It can be a therapist, it can be a trusted friend, it can be, but you also need emotional support in 2026, right? So that you are able to also separate relationships. You cannot expect your mentor to be there for you emotionally because that's not their specialty. They are not supposed to be working with you in terms of your emotions. They're supposed to be working with you to help you achieve your business goals, maybe your academic goals, whatever. All right, so that's another thing that you need in 2026. You need to work on your environment, prime your environment for success. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, my desk was a mess. And because my desk was a mess, there's nothing that invited me to say, come and sit and work, right? As soon as I started cleaning my desk, it invited me to come sit and work. If you look at my desk now, it's beautiful. It has my notebooks here. It has my, my computer here. I am ready to work. There's no clutter. Same applies even in your own life. If you want to achieve goals in 2026, prime your environment. You find that you have so many people that are doubting you, and you want to take those people with you into the new year. And you want, like when we say, I will convince my friends, I will change my friends, I will make my friends want business. No, no, the negative pull is always bigger than the positive pull. So you are very, very much likely to be pulled their way than you pull them your way. So to avoid that, prime your environment. Keep yourself in spaces where there is more of the positive energy than of the negative energy. Right. You sit with people that say, sikwelete is normal. Like Songa's Pinangaskwelete, what do you mean when you want to live a debt-free life? Right? Kunormali kuthatha i-credit card yakho uyothenga igrosa. And you're there thinking, hey, but guys, in food, we buy food on credit. Yes, they've normalized it. They've normalized that you buy something you don't afford just for the sake of looking good. Hi, but when you don't have an iPhone 17 Pro Max, Johnny show me. When you sell a iPhone 12, and when I pass iPhone 12 that is paid in full, they are saying they need to do all sorts of things, even things that will drain them, just so that they can look cool and fit in, right? So think about the environment. What are the people that are around you saying? What are the people that are around you? What do they believe? Do they believe in building a business, or they believe in just working for someone? Do they believe in personal development, or they think life just happens? There's nothing that you need to do to improve your life. So think about your environment. And sometimes your environment is where you come from, shame. Like it's your hometown, it's your move. Move. I don't want to lie to you. There's no success that you're going to find in your hometown. Kusho mean, I'm telling you the truth. If uhlala la ukhulele khona, you will not be successful unless you have a very strong strategy. Because what the people know is the version of you that is not successful. What people see is the failure that you were many years ago. So don't expect bamflo khule nabo where ukuthi babone emaphupho akho. Now wena uyathi singayakhi imall la. They don't see it. They do not see it. Right? They don't. They will not support that idea. They will not buy from that mall. They will not, so go to where no one knows you and build from there, right? Go to where no one knows you and build from there, and be okay with building with strangers. Be fine with having strangers in your life. Inkumbi yethu asikhoni to be successful in life because sitayele ukuthi utawusupportwa bamfulo batiko, sigadze kusupportwa bamfulo batiko. Unfortunately, that is not how life works. In Jesus himself, he was not embraced in his hometown, right? His message was not embraced in his hometown. So if you are going to be successful in 2026, ivumele ukuthi utayele bantfu longabati, uye kubamfulo ongabadi, uthengisele bamfulo ongabadi, u-invite bamfulo ongabadi ebhizinisini, you will work well with strangers. Move from your hometown. It's cheaper to rent at home, but trust me, comfort zone. Comfort zone. You are comfortable. Uvuka ekhaya. Angeke uzobe successful. Even your own parents, when they hear you saying, when ufuna kwenda ini, when ufuna, I always talk to my mom, and she's just looking at me like, oh, when ungenda loku. Not that she doesn't support me, but she's shocked because what she knows is just a baby. I'm just a baby. She doesn't think, the big things, the big vision that I have. Let me just run and get a charger because my battery is dying. The baby is about to die. Oh my God. And this one's as my phone's about to die. Please just pardon me a bit. All right, we are fair and fine. Yes, prime your environment. Prime your environment. Stop convincing your family. Stop convincing your. Okay, I think I don't need the earphones anymore. Stop convincing your family. Stop convincing your loved ones. Stop trying to convert people, right? Honestly, it doesn't work. So the environment is also something you need to work on. An environment also talks about your physical space. If you're someone that is running a home business like myself, but you don't have a designated office space, and I don't mean, and I know sometimes, people's situations are different, but you also need to, find a desk, at least just find a desk and a chair. And just know, Wuti, when I show up to do my business, I show up from this space, right? Because your brain is very silly. If you work from the couch and from the bed and from wherever, like you won't remember that now it's time for working, right? Because remember, the same couch that you're using to work from is the same couch that you relax and watch TV from, right? The same bed that you're working from is the same bed that you relax and watch and sleep on, right? So in 2026, find a way to also have a working desk, right? Find a way to also set up a desk where you will work. And this is also for students, right? If you're a student and you're here saying, yo, I struggle to study, have a specific area. Ask your parents to get you a desk and a chair so that utowadi ukuthi nyalo sesikhathi sani sekusebenza akusaseso sikhathi sekudlala uyabona. So work on your environment, both external, both internal, and so on, right? And the last point is get used to doing hard things. I don't know how many people I've talked to who've said, I really, really want to try this thing, but what if I fail? Like, what if it gets hard? What am I going to do when people don't join me? I'm scared that people won't buy from me. I'm scared that people won't believe me. They'll look at me and think, Haibo, who is she to give us success? Please get used to doing hard things. Work on your work ethic in 2026. A lot of us are not used to doing hard things. A lot of us, what's it hard, you quit. What's it get difficult, you quit. Right? There is nothing you will achieve in life if you only do easy things. Go the achiever in life if you do easy things. All right. Our motivational talk in the morning, beyikhuluma ngakho, Jim Rohn was saying, you cannot rely on, how you feel. Because how you feel changes from time to time. Do you know that as we're sitting here, there's a disaster that is waiting to happen in your life? Like there's something that is going to kick you off. It's a given. We just don't know what it is. Because life is like that. We don't know what it is. Right? That disaster could be losing a loved one. That disaster could be, there's just a disaster that will happen. You losing your car, it could be anything, really. And we always pray to God for grace. We always thank God for life. And we always hope that we're always going to be protected. But there's always something that will happen. Why? Because we are living. It's real life, right? So when we said on number 2, work on your identity, that is what we're talking about. Because now the identity that you will have is the identity of someone who shows up no matter what. And when I say this, fam, I don't mean ignore your feelings or emotions. Don't pay attention to your mental health. Please do. It's very important. However, anyone that has achieved anything that is worth it has had to show up even on the difficult days. So your identity is important. Get used to doing hard things. Get used to doing hard things in 2026. It's hard to make money. It's hard to be broke. It's hard to save. It's hard to be broke. Do you understand? It's hard to talk to people. It's hard not to have a growing business. Now you choose your heart. And you say, I will do the hard things that bring me a reward. Instead of sitting and saying, it's hard to recruit, so I'll just focus on selling. Yet, not selling, you sell 1 bottle of aloe a month. So which selling are you focusing on? Hey, my team is not working. I have to find new people. You think the new people you find will all be inspired? No, they won't. Just because you're finding new people doesn't guarantee anything. You may still find the same people until you work on your identity. Because now, when you work on your identity, you then also you have non-negotiables. So when the people join you, they know that as lalila, like we're not playing here. The kind of person that is mentoring us, akadlali. So you're working on your identity, you rely on your values versus on finding inspired people, because motivation and inspiration doesn't last long. We get people coming into the business, they're very inspired. 2 months down the line, they're gone. So you cannot be saying, I want to find new people that are inspired. No, you want to find people that understand seasons of business and seasons of life. That today I'm winning, tomorrow I'm not winning. It doesn't take away from my wins from yesterday. I will show up on the good and on the bad days. Just like you find people on TikTok talk about marriage is hard, or when other people talk about the realities of marriage, and then you hear people saying, hi, it's better to be single. It's not. Of course, there's advantages, but it's not. Really, it's not. Because there's some days in your single life where it's hard, right? Same thing. When people say, because of parenting, people are saying parenting is hard. Maybe it's better for me to not have children. There's advantages and disadvantages. If you understand that life is not meant to be easy, but we need to show up regardless. We need to do the hard things, guys. You can't be saying when you want to only do business when you are winning. You want to do business when your team is working. You want to do business when you have a stream of customers. Some seasons you won't have those customers. Some seasons you'll have lots of customers. Some seasons you won't. In all seasons, stay true to why you started. In all seasons, stay true to your calling, to why you are doing it. And that why it cannot just be about you, because if it's about you, you will get to a point in life where you've achieved everything you want to achieve. But if you understand that in our kind of business, our calling, our business, why we're doing what we're doing, it's less about us and it's more about the people that we serve. You are going to say, if I stop talking about the business today, there's someone that is just getting retrenched today who needs this business. There's someone who is getting divorced today who needs extra income. There's someone who's a single parent today who has 5 kids who doesn't know how she's going to provide for them, who needs this business. If I stop doing it because I am disappointed, if I stop doing it because I don't feel like it, this person won't find me. There's someone who's just scrolling on TikTok and looking for something to do. And if I don't show up and do the life that I need to do today, this person won't find me. That is when now we say, get used to doing the hard things. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining our session. We have these sessions on every Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we're going to have the next one this coming Thursday. We discuss all things mindset, business, and yeah, we really, really shape each other. They say iron sharpens iron. So our whole idea for these sessions is that we empower each other. We give each other hope. We, above everything, remember every time you show up, you are casting a vote towards who you are becoming. Thank you so much. If you're interested in doing business with me, my number is on the screen, or you just go on my bio. You will see my number there. Get in touch, find out what we're doing. This opportunity that we're doing is going to give you personal growth. It's going to give you better health. It's going to give you a community. It's going to give you travel opportunities. It's going to give you really that extra income that you're looking for. So if you're looking for all these things, maybe you're looking for extra income, you're also looking for a community, that you can join in 2026. You're also looking for personal growth. You're also looking to improve your health. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to have good skin. Maybe you want to improve your energy levels. Maybe you just want vitality, like you want good health in general. Because sometimes we just attach our health goals, to the immediate things that we're seeing. Funa kwehlisa umkhaba, ngifuna ini, ngifuna ini. But sometimes you just need better health. You just need to change your habits. You just need maybe to have better energy. You just need to, work on your health in general. And if you're also looking for extra income as well, all these are catered for in our business. It's a business, so you're not just joining, Jay. It's a business. So if you come in here, you need to be willing to work hard because it's a business. You will get a coach assigned to you. Once you join, we add you to our team WhatsApp group where you get daily encouragement. And we also have meetings from time to time. You also get a chance to have a one-on-one with me where we'll discuss your goals and how you can use the business to achieve it. Thank you so much. I wish you well. Take my details on the screen, take my details on the bio, and get in touch. I cannot wait to work with you. Do have a great 2026. Bye.